H model. If you recall, under dividend discount model or discounted dividend model, what we had looked at, we had said that the H model, to determine the price of the intrinsic value of a security, is given as the D naught 1 plus G over R minus GL. This is growth rate in the long term there. Then we add now the D naught, which is the historical dividends, and we multiply that by the half-life in years of the duration within which the security prices or the dividends are expected to decline linearly, and then we multiply by G, the growth rate in the short term, the difference between the growth rate in the short term minus growth rate in the long term, right there. So we are saying the mechanics or the explanation for the H model is that if these are dividends and this is time like that, under the H model, the dividends are expected to decline linearly like so, and then it stops there, and now it now declines or stays stable like that in the long run here. So here we have this stage 1 and here we have stage 2. This is a much more realistic approach to trying to estimate the intrinsic value of a security. Why? Because dividends can be able to decline, or at times they actually decline linearly like that. Under the two-stage model we had mentioned, we have this approach over here. You have dividend growth rate like that. In the two-stage, the dividends are at that level over there, then they just decline suddenly to a stable stage like that. So this is stage 1 and stage 2. This is not realistic. This is, of course, an explanation in theory. It's not, doesn't happen like that in practice. But here we expect at least this case the dividends to start declining like that slowly, or what we can say linearly to a stable stage like that in perpetuity like that. So this is what we will be able to build on the H model. Now, to apply the H model in macroeconomic forecasts, the formula is as so. You can be able to see the similarities between these. Let me leave that over here. So we are saying the macroeconomic model under the H model will be P naught, will be given as a D naught over R minus GL, that is the growth rate in the long term there. Then we have here 1 minus the growth rate in the long term like that, plus now the half-life in years, which you are saying is N over 2. For consistency purposes, let's explain it in terms of the H part. So it's H over 2 like that. Then the difference between the growth rate in the short term minus growth rate in the long term like that. That is how you compute the price of the equity index or the changes in the equity index based on the H model. So this D naught we say is the current dividends there. R is the required return there. GL is long term growth rate like that. Then what we haven't described here is H is the half-life in years, half-life in years like that. Then GS is the growth rate in the short term growth rate. P naught is the expected price of the index. So we can be able to now infer something from this macroeconomic focus and the H model. Let's try an example that can be able to reinforce our understanding. So we have an example that reads as follows. Assume that we have the required real return on equity being 10%, a current dividend of 12, the current supernormal growth rate of 10.5%, a long-term sustainable growth rate of 3%, and a 30-year period of linear growth decline is expected to decline. The estimated intrinsic value for the index will be how much? Assuming that the price to earnings ratio is 20.3. what will be the justified PE ratio. So we're saying we try and put the inputs. We try and identify the inputs. We're trying to estimate the P naught there. So we're saying we have D naught. So solution. Here we have D naught over R minus GL. Then we multiply that by 1 plus GL. 1 plus GL right there. Apologies, I must have made a mistake over here. This should be plus. Please change that to plus. Yes, that is 1 plus GL right there. Then plus the half-life in here is H over 2. Then we have GS minus GL right there. So D naught, how much have we been given as the dividends? The dividends, we've been told that the current dividends is 12. So it's 12 divided by the required return. The required return, which we've been told as the real return on equity, is 10%. So 0.1 minus the growth rate in the long term. We have been told that the sustainable growth rate is 3%, 0.03. Then 1 plus the growth rate in the long term, we have it over here, 0.03, plus the half-life in years. We are being told it is a 30-year period, so we just take 30 over 2. Then we take the growth rate in the short term minus the growth rate in the long term. The growth rate, we've been told the current supernormal growth rate is 10.5%, so 0.105 minus 0.03. So how much do we get as our P naught? Very quickly, work it out. So we work the brackets first. And we have, let's work this component first right over here. So we have 30 divided by 2, we have 15. And then we multiply by the difference between 0.105 minus 0.03. We have 1.125. Then we add this part over here like that, 1 plus 1.03. So we add plus 1.03 there, we get 2.155. So we have 12 over 0.1 minus 0.03 multiplied by 2.155 there. So we divide that, then multiply the two components there. So 12 divided by 0.1 minus 0.03, we have 171.428. So we have 171.428 multiplied by 2.155. We have multiplied by 2.155. There we have 369.4. 369.43. Like that. That is the new value of the index there. Now, we have also been requested to compute the PE ratio there. Now, this being the price, the P stroke E ratio of the index will be the market price per share divided by the earnings value they are given to us. So we are saying that it's 369.43 divided by the earnings. And the earnings we have been given there as how much? 20.3. From the question we've been given 20.3 there. So how much is our PE value? Divided by 20.3, we have 18.189. So 18.198 times. Because it is a multiple, we must put times there.